That is what probably people meant when they use this births and death and birth and death and birth. It's not that this particular entity which is non-existing even while you are living takes a series of births. So the ending of births and deaths is the state that they are talking about. But that state cannot be described in terms of bliss, beatitude, love, compassion and all that kind of thing. So that becomes a poetic nonsense, romantic stuff if you use those words. Because you have no way of experiencing what is there in between these two thoughts. So the world you experience around you is also from that point of view. So there must be a point, and it is this point that creates the space, So, if this point is not there, there is no space. So, anything you experience from this point is an illusion, not that the world is an illusion. All these Vedantins and philosophers in India, particularly the students of Shankara, indulge in such a frivolous, absolute nonsense. Since the world is not an illusion, but anything you experience in relationship with this point, which itself is illusory, is bound to be an illusion. That's all. But not that the world is an illusion. So when they use the word Maya, they did not mean the illusion in the sense in which, the English word is used. Maya means to measure. The Sanskrit word means to measure. So you cannot measure anything unless you have a point. So if the center is absent, there is no circumference at all. That's a pure and simple basic arithmetic. So this point has no continuity. This point comes into being in response to the demands of the situation. The demands of the situation creates this point. You see, the subject does not at all exist there. It is the object that creates the subject. It runs counter to the whole philosophical thinking of man in India. So this subject comes and goes and comes and goes in response to the things that are happening there. So it is the object that creates the subject and not the subject that creates the object. This is a simple physiological phenomenon which can be tested. See, there is an object there, for example. There is no subject here, So what creates the subject is the object. There is light. If the light is not there, you have no ways of looking at anything. See, so the light falls on that, and the reflection of that light activates the optic nerves here. And that in its turn activates the memory cells. So when once, the memory cells are activated, all the knowledge you have about it comes into operation. So it is that thing that is happening there has created this subject, which is the knowledge you have about that. The word microphone is the I. There is nothing there other than the word microphone. So when you reduce it to that, you feel the absurdity of talking about the self, the lower self, the higher self, and knowing, self-knowing. Is self-knowledge, is knowing from moment to moment, is absolute rubbish, balderdash. You can indulge in such absolute nonsense and build up philosophical theories, but there is no subject there at all at any time. It's not the subject that creates the object. So, not only the I, but all the physical sensations are involved with this. It's the sound, So the olfactory nerves, the smell, and the sense of touch, you see, any one of these sensations in operation necessarily have to bring the subject. It's not, you see, one continuous subject who is gathering all these experiences and piling them up together, adding them up together and says, this is me, but everything is a discontinuous, disconnected one. The sound is one, you see, this physical seeing is one, the smelling is one. Unfortunately, man, they say, has developed 4,000 nuances, these olfactory nerves, which are worthless for purposes of survival of the living organism. You know? So, the sense of touch means the vibration of the sound creates, you see, the subject there. So it comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. There is no permanent entity there at all. What is there is only what you call I, is only a first person singular pronoun. Nothing else. That if you don't want to use that I to prove that you are a man without I, it's your privilege. That's all that is there. So there is no permanent entity there at all. So while you are living, the knowledge that is there does not belong to you. So why are you concerned about as to what will happen after what you call you is gone? So the physical body is functioning from moment to moment, because that's the way the sensory perceptions are, that's the way they are. So to talk of living from moment to moment, you know, by creating a thought-induced state of mind has no meaning to me. So talking of living from moment to moment has no meaning, except in terms of the physical functioning of the body. And so that is in any case functioning from moment to moment. So when the thought is not there, all the time, what is happening there is living from moment to moment. It's just all frames, you know. Millions and millions and millions of frames are there, to put it in the language of the film. So there is no continuity there, there is no movement there. The thought can never capture the movement. It's only when you invest the thought with emotion, you try to capture the movement, but actually the thought can never capture any movement that is there around you. The movement of life is the movement of life out there and here. They are together always. So the thought is essential only for the survival of this living organism. When it is necessary, it is there. When it is not necessary, the question whether it is there or not is of no importance at all. So you cannot talk of that state in poetic, romantic language.